Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm diving into my 2024 Project Life album and I'm putting together my spread for the week of January 1st through January 7th. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Hey guys, I'm so excited to dive into my 2024 Project Life album. I have not yet quite finished up my 2023 album, but I was working on that. And just so I have a little bit of lag in here, I really like to work on Project Life a few weeks behind. And then I did decide I was going to work on this, and then I kind of delayed it, and I'll let you know why in a few minutes. But first, I'm just going to kind of try to lay out my photos. The first week of January, not a lot was going on. I have this from the back. Here, I'll show you guys again. I had another video where I put this one together and set up my albums. So that's my cover page, and I have this transparent element here. So I'm going to leave that, but the rest of these spots I am going to cover up. And I'm just kind of laying things out just randomly at first. So let's see, there was some snow. I ate some good food. My cat is still looking for his advent calendar. I started my new Hobonichi, a new art, my new media journal, put away December daily. Not a ton, but that is what I have going on. And then this kit is a mess in this pile here because I already used it to work on my previous spread, my intro page, and I'm not very good at putting my kits back together. I also have the 6x8 add-on paper pack that is quarterly, and I'm putting that just with my January kits. But if I wrap up these kits and those are still there, I'll just shift whatever's left to my February kits. So I had put these things in here, which are from an older release, when I was working on the front side of this because I wanted to use one of them as the back of that O. So I'm thinking I might go with that one. I'm not sure. But my thought is I'm just going to stick it on the outside of the page protector, and that way it won't look like so much unintentional that you could just see the backs of the numbers. And then let's see, I'm going to go through the cards first. So I think every single month has one of these. So I'm going to use that as my title card. I do really like it. The only thing I don't like is this is 365 days, and this is a leap year. There are 366 days. I wish that they had caught that and done it because this is the 2024 kit, but oh well. So then there's also this one here, and let me just go through what else there is. There's this why, what, how, who, when, where card, which is super cute, but it's vertical, so I'm not going to use it. I would want to probably cut it up if I was going to. There's this vellum one, which is also very cute, and this one, which would be great to cut up, but I only have the 2 4x6 spots, so I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use this one because this one is again going to be repeated throughout the year, and I decided what I wanted to do is put ephemera on here. Now I was so annoyed with myself because here's my Hobonichi cousin for 2024, and this is what I'm using as a daily journal. So I have all my journaling in here. And if you're curious in seeing this, I do have a setup video, and I will actually have a flip through of this one up as well. I think I already have that up too. At the time that this video goes up, I think that will already be live. So you can go check that out on my channel. But in this, I had started to put together this scraps page and collected some scraps and was having a lot of fun with that. And then I realized later that I wanted this for scraps as well, which is fine. But we had gone furniture shopping in the very first week of January, so during this week, and I got a ton of like pamphlets and things, and then I cut one out for here, but then I didn't save the rest because we had decided on what we were purchasing, so I threw away all the pamphlets. So annoyed because those would have been very perfect for here. But once I realized I wanted to do this, I didn't have enough ephemera from week 1. So I collected some over the next few weeks to have in here. So this is what I have. I'm not sure if I have enough in here or if I need to go track down even more. But I did go to the Apple store on January 1st. So I have this. I have a candy wrapper, another candy wrapper, this from Book of the Month, and some of the wrapping from the Cocoa Daisy package. Not the greatest ephemera, but I think it will work for what I'm going for here. And if it doesn't, I might go look and see if I have something else. Okay, let's see what else we have here. So I think that these are gonna maybe be in every month as well. So I definitely wanna use them. And I know that these ones are being repeated again, but they did these last year, so I don't want to do them again. So I'm going to take a break from them and probably keep them together as a set at the end of the year and maybe use it in a future year. And then let's see here. We've got, this is a good just journaling card. This one I think would be fun as some embellishing. And then let's see, we have everyday moments right now. These are also just good journaling cards. And I'm just kind of laying these out initially. So it could be that simple. I think I probably want to do a little bit more than that. I want to cut some stuff up. Let's see, we have these. I know a lot of people were using these as like their journaling cards and adding their journaling. I'm not sure I want to do that, but I do like the idea. So I'm thinking about it. And honestly, I might use this kit for more than one spread because there's just so much in these. And I don't want it all like just in my stash. This is super cute too. So I'm just gonna try to think about how I can fit more of these things in here if I wanna cut some stuff up. Oh, there's this one is also very nice. There's a lot of the ephemera die cut pack. I can like cut some of these out. I probably will do that. Let's see, there's a lot of tags. This one is super cute. I'm thinking I'm gonna wanna kind of cut some stuff up and make more of my cards rather than just use the pre-made cards. Just have a little more fun with it. But I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. I just wanted to kind of talk through my initial setup. I have also in here my weekly spreads, and this is kind of what I look back on to see this is what happened and the highlights from the week. So I do have this to kind of look at what journaling I want to include. So I'm gonna put that to the side. And then what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put you guys on fast forward and start getting this put together. Okay, you guys, this one came together pretty easily. I started with my title card and just simply stamped my date stamps using my rolling date stamp. I did get a new rolling date stamp for 2024. I actually got 3 new ones because the ones I was using before were ended after 2023. So it was kind of fun to pick out some new sizes and styles, but this was the first time I'd used this one, so I didn't get a great impression, but it worked out. I added one of the word phrase strip stickers between the 2 dates, and then I decided to just leave the 365-day thing alone, even though it does still bug me, but I think it would be worse if I put pen over it to try to turn the 5 into a 6. I'm working on my scraps card here. And for February, when I'm editing this video, it is now February, and I am now keeping track of my ephemera a little bit better and have a little place to collect it on my desk for the current month. So I'm excited to do that and figure out what my February one is going to look like. For this one, I ended up with that tissue paper that was from my Cocoa Daisy kits, a wrapper from a leftover Christmas candy that I was still eating, this little piece of cardstock, which was in my Book of the Month Club kit or box this month, the business card from the Apple store at our local mall, and then a package from the Sour Strips candy, which is my kind of go-to snacking candy these days. This one, I had a little bit of trouble trying to trim it down to fit, and then I ended up, the rolling adhesive didn't work on it because it's kind of like a plastic, so I had to use the red line tape, but then I got that stuck down, and then I decided to take it over to my sewing machine and add some stitching just to kind of hold the things in place. They would have probably held in place anyway, but because they're kind of bulkier and like bubbled up a little bit, especially the candy wrappers, I thought that having that stitching would be an extra fun touch, and I end up using that technique throughout the entire spread to make it very cohesive. When I stitch on my sewing machine, I just pull the ends of the threads through the back and tape them down with Scotch tape, so that's what you saw me do there. And now I'm just looking at the word phrase strips that came in the kit and added one onto this card that says things that make me smile. I'm moving on and trying to figure out what I want to work on next.
This currently celebrating card has some check boxes on it. And I think this is a card that's actually going to be in every single month this year, but I'm not entirely sure. But I was inspired by Morgan Beal for how to use this card. So I initially was going to just put it with the check boxes, but I didn't really love that because some of the things on there were not things that I would ever celebrate, or they didn't happen during this week. And so I did celebrate them, just not in this week. So I thought that wouldn't really work for me, but I loved how Morgan cut the currently celebrating piece off and used it to talk about something entirely unrelated. She was talking about a birthday that she was celebrating. But what I decided to do was use it to talk about celebrating the January 1st and just kind of like what I was doing that day. And then she had also cut out the check boxes and put the one that she was celebrating. I don't know which one it was that she ended up using, but she made it almost into like a word phrase strip. So I did that with the New Year's Day, and I'm going to add it onto the bottom of this card once I finish my journaling about the day. New Year's Day, I didn't work, so it was a day that was kind of busy. I went out, I went shopping for new furniture. It was kind of just a good start to the year. So then I'm looking through the ephemera pack to try to find something, because you can see I have that New Year's Day checkbox there, and I wanted it on top of something so that it stood out against the white grid that I used as my background. And I looked through all of these die cut pieces and nothing really fit for me. So what I end up doing is pulling some washi tape from my stash. I'm reaching to my washi organizer. And if you missed it, I just shared a video about my washi organization system if that is something you are interested in. I will link that for you guys. But I added a piece of washi, and then I added my checkbox there at the bottom. And then I'm going to put a little puffy heart from my stash to kind of check the box, and moved on to another card. I had a few photos that were of snow, and I decided to cut out this label that said 2024 started like this and add it on top of one of them. I originally was going to do it on the other one, but then I decided to do it on here so that I could stack it on top of the pole from the front of my house, which is not very photogenic, but was kind of in the photo anyways. I moved on to this card of Pumpkin. This is a photo of Pumpkin looking for his advent calendar treats on the counter because he got used to that routine in December. And I thought it was super cute and something that I wanted to document in the beginning of January. So I added a label sticker here to add that little story onto this photo. And then I do end up adding a word phrase strip on there as well that just says the best. And next, I'm just moving on to figure out what I want to do. I'm just kind of looking at the overall spread. I have this card here that says January Stories Repeated, but it's on vellum. And I wanted it backed by something so that it wouldn't shine through to the next page. And I end up pulling a bunch of pinks from my stash, from my scrap organizer, and I went with this one that had this very pretty floral on the back, but I liked the pink ombre on the other side, so I'm using that as a base for this January card. So I'm just using rolling adhesive to adhere it lightly, and then what I'm going to do is take it over to my sewing machine and stitch it there. And I hope you guys didn't see that, but I actually cut my finger when cutting that, and I had to go put a Band-Aid on. So I apologize for that, but I'm a very clumsy person. I've never cut my finger on one of those paper trimmers before, but there wasn't anything gory on the screen. Otherwise, I would have cut it out. Anyways, I added one of the chipboard pieces to the top of that January Stories card, and then I'm moving on to this photo, which shows my 2023 completed Hobonichi cousin with my fresh 2024 one side by side. So I pulled over some white alpha stickers from my stash. These are from the Kelly Perky shop, and I am writing out old and new on them. I have so many of those in my stash because those are one of my favorite go-to alpha stickers, and I'm sad that I'm not going to be able to buy any new ones in the future. I added a label that says beginning of the year, and then I used this washi tape that I have that's just a bunch of arrows, which I thought worked really well on that card. I'm moving on to this one, which is a photo of the snow, and trying to figure out kind of how I want to embellish it. You can see I really kind of jump around as I'm trying different embellishments and trying to figure out where they're going to fit. I really liked this tag that said a story, but it was just too big to use on any of my photos. So I trimmed it down, and I'm adding it on this one of putting away my December daily supplies with a label so that I could add a little bit of journaling about how I finished my December daily this week and put away all of the supplies. Again, I'm looking through the word phrase strips to add some on here. And there was also the words that said for this week on that tag. And I cut them out as well and turned it into my own word phrase strips. So I had 2 different colored ones to layer there. Moving on to this right now card. So I could have left this as is, but I didn't love the lines on there. I tend to not like journaling cards that have lines on them because they are never the correct spacing for how I want to write. So what I did was I just cut off the lines and I put this on top of a blank dot grid paper that I had in my stash, or card in my stash. And I added the January moment banner on there. And then I'm using my Zig dot marker to make a bullet point list of stories from this week. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you know this is something that I do pretty much every week, where I like to add a bullet point list of just important stories or like notable stories from the week that didn't get documented through the photos or other journaling cards. So right here, you can see that I'm like a little bit hesitant as I'm doing it. That's because I'm reading my Hobonichi Cousin, and that is where I keep track of what happened every day. I use the weekly spreads in my Hobonichi Cousin to document as I go, kind of what happened every single day and a few little stories from the day that I want as a reference when working on my project life. At the time I put this spread together, it was probably a couple weeks after the week had happened. So although I remembered pretty well what was happening, I couldn't, in my mind, it was hard to keep track of like what was actually during this specific week. So having that reference in my Hobonichi Cousin was really great and something that I'm really happy that I'm continuing in 2024. I filled out the rest of that card with some stories from the week, and then I'm moving on to this tag. So I had another journaling card there, but I moved it off of the spread and ended up not using it because after doing that bullet point journaling list, I realized I didn't have any other stories I wanted to tell this week. So instead, I'm going to create filler cards and embellish my photos. I added one of the chipboard tags on top of that photo of the snow. And then I'm trying to figure out how I want to include that repeated January tag. I really wanted to use it because it is dated. So that means it doesn't say 2024 on it, but it does say January. So it will be harder to use later in the year. So I wanted to make sure to get it on my spread. So I put it into that one pocket, and now I added a label and a word phrase strip to that photo of my reading journal or media journal. And then I'm trying to figure out how I want to back this card. I used that pretty floral, but it just didn't work. It was too busy and it kind of clashed. There was too much going on. So I went back to the kit and I found this pattern one that was like a mixed media pattern that Allie had made. And they actually used the same pattern for the packaging this month. But I cut the card down to 3x4 and made a base for this card. I also then took over the tag that said the 2024s on it, and I had cut one of them out for my title page, but I also cut one out here, and then I'm adhering it down onto some black washi tape just so that it pops a little bit. So this embellishment tag is just going, or this filler card tag is going to just say 2024 January repeated on it, and I again stitched it down. I like having the opportunity to kind of just play with product and create filler cards like that. I definitely went through a phase in project life where I didn't include any filler cards because I had so many photos and stories. And now, my life is a lot quieter. So I apologize for my head in the screen, but I don't have as many photos and I don't have as many stories, and that's okay. I'm happy to still do weekly project life because that means I have a little more breathing room in each spread to include some filler cards or just, expand on the silly little stories of the week. In this spread, I ended up having 4 filler cards. I suppose you can count the transparency from the back of the 2024 as a filler card, that 2024 January tag, the January calendar, which came in the kit, which I ended up not doing anything to, and then the January stories card. Here's a look at that completed spread. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.